Oh, right. How are you, Paulie? Anyway, you okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I got the time mixed up in my head. I was thinking that it was uh 5 p.m. for me and instead of like 5 hours difference. So I got it so screwed up in my head. I'm glad you came over and said something because I was
No,
like, oh my
it's
God. I was thinking, oh, I'll just do this for like another half hour and then I'll be cool. And
no, it's absolutely fine. Also, I just want to say thank you ever so much for popping on and even giving us the time of day. Because I know you're a very busy individual. And I was very surprised that you said yes. Because obviously there's a lot of fake accounts out there, so I did sort of play my cards really safe. Um, but yeah, but no, it's honestly it's amazing to have you on. We are extremely grateful for you
it'll
to
be
find the
fun.
time out your day. But yeah, honestly, it's going to be super chill. It's not going to be like an interrogation or anything like that. I
I
promise.
mean, I didn't think it would be. And then people were like, oh, like, I don't think I'm getting ambushed or anything. I'm like, there you were saying like, do you want to see the list of questions and stuff? I'm like, I'm pretty chill guy. I'm pretty open book, so it's gonna
Yeah,
be. I'm just gonna fly with whatever.
yeah. Because obviously we're a relatively new sort of podcast. And the main reason why we sort of started doing this, personally for me, because you did an interview with Mr. Gims, and I was a devout viewer of his, good mates as well. And I loved the episode that you did with Mr. Gims, and also he didn't.
Yeah,
He did other episodes with the King, Choi, and so on.
I
And
miss
yeah,
Gims honestly. Like,
yeah.
how's he doing? You
I spoke to him. I think it was November via Steam. It was a really brief conversation. I asked him, do you think there'd be a comeback for yourself? Would you see yourself coming back? And he was hoping to come back this year, but he's been offline now for a good few years, unfortunately. And I don't personally
he's
know
been
the
a
reason why.
good dude to me. I
Yeah,
enjoy the heck out of him. So he's
yeah.
missed for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%. Um, so I've so with your content, Paulie, I watched you before. I think it was before you even started DBD. Coincidentally, one of the first things I watched you do was the Telltale games, The
Oh,
Walking Dead.
really?
Yeah. So, God, that must have been 8, 9 years ago now.
It's got to be a while. Yeah, I had fun playing those. I mean, I went back and played. What was it called? The Expanse.
Oh right, yeah,
That's like their newest one, right? So I played that one on stream, and I always enjoyed the Telltale games, but it was unfortunate situation with what happened with that company, and funny
yeah,
enough, they kind of put like the blame for their demise on streamers, right?
yeah.
Because they're like,
I did
well, we
read
could
that.
just
Yeah.
watch people play it. We don't have to buy the game and play it ourselves. So they were like pointing the finger at streamers, saying, "You're wrecking all the options, and who needs to buy the game anymore when you show the whole thing?" Because there's not that many paths on a Telltale game, right?
Yeah,
There's a couple of forks, and generally they're all going to circle back to the same point anyway.
yeah,
So it's not like Detroit becomes human where there's like so many different
yeah.
possibilities kind of a thing. So
Yeah. Yeah, it is sort of you have these, certain options that can lead you in certain directions, but at the end of the day, it still leads you to the same end
yeah,
position.
you got to get back to the main path.
Yeah. Yeah, because I can remember. So yeah, it must have been about 8, 9 years ago, because I was in the army then. And I used to watch people like the Rad Brad do playthroughs. Because financially I couldn't afford games, so I used to always spoil games for myself just by watching. Yeah, I stumbled across you playing the first season of The Walking Dead. Um, and yeah, and that was the reason why I purchased that game.
Oh,
Um,
nice, awesome, thanks,
but yeah, no, it's
appreciate
okay.
it.
But yeah, now please correct me if I got this wrong. So, is it true that the reason why you sort of started making YouTube videos and streaming was like a little friendly bet with a family member or something along those lines?
Well, sort of like my son would watch like Jacksepticeye. and PewDiePie, Markiplier, the big names
Yeah.
on YouTube. And my son's disabled, right? He has autism and epilepsy, and he didn't really want to know what he wanted to do with his life, like his direction and things like that.
Yeah.
And I would say, well, why don't you do this? And he's like, oh, I couldn't do that. And I would say, like, you watch these guys do this all the time. Why don't you do it? And he's like, I can't do that. And I'm like, anybody can do that. Like, what? What? They're
Yeah.
just sitting there playing video games. Anybody can do that, right? So then I, you know, quickly came to realize that no, not everybody can do that, right? I was
It ain't hard work.
oversimplifying what they do, right? But I'm like, I'll
Yeah.
prove it to you. I'm going to do it. I'll show you how easy it is. I'm going to do it. And that was kind of what started it, that I was like, I'm going to do this. I'll show you. Anybody can do this. Doesn't
That's
require skills.
amazing. That
But,
really is.
I came to find out that does require skills, right? Like I always quote this triangle, right? That there's a triangle and you have to be able to fit 3 points or two of the 3 points on the triangle, or you're not going to get anywhere. And the one point on the triangle is you have to be good at the game.
Hmm.
And the second point in the triangle is you have to be entertaining. And the third point in the triangle is you have to interact with your community. And if you
Yeah.
don't have at least two of the 3 points on that triangle, you aren't going to be successful. You can get away with just two of them. If you
Yeah.
have only one, it's not going to work. You can be the best
Yeah.
there is at the game, but if you aren't entertaining and you don't interact with people, then you don't give them a reason to watch you.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough.
If you don't have to be the best at the game, you can be not so great at the game, like me. and but if you're entertaining
Yeah.
and engaging with the community, then you can get away with it. So you have to have
Yeah.
two of the 3 points on that triangle, and
Yeah.
that's that's usually what I tell people. So you can be the best at the game and be entertaining and completely ignore your audience, and you can
Mm.
get away with that, right? So
Yeah. Because well, unfortunately for me, when it comes to Dead by Daylight, I'm consistently inconsistent. I can either have really good games or I can have really bad games. It's never sort of stationary in regards to in regards to that. But I would say I'm quite entertaining. Like last year, I did a 24-hour stream dressed as Mrs. Doubtfire. Um, that was hard, especially wearing a wig for that long. It gets so hot under there. It really does. But like I always say, when it comes to especially streaming is like a marathon. It does take time to sort of build that foundation and build that community because some people do give up before they really start. I don't know, obviously, if you would agree to that or
yeah, it can be tricky. And people ask me like, what's the best advice you can give me to get going as a streamer? And I
yeah,
usually say, honestly, you have to find a niche that isn't being filled. If you are committed to like a certain game,
yeah,
like Dead by Daylight, right? So you have to offer something that nobody else is offering. That's the only way you're going to break into DBD right now, because there are so many established people.
yeah,
So you have to think of something that nobody else is doing. If you can't think of something else that nobody else is doing, then I would suggest you go and look at a game that is underserviced for streamers. Like there aren't that many people streaming that game, because then you can
yeah.
fill a void where nobody is offering that content of that game, whatever it is. So
That's fair
that's
enough.
usually what I advise people to do.
Especially like
Yeah,
with Dead by Daylight as well. Trying to fill a niche is quite hard because
Yeah.
obviously like it's not like a massive game with full of major content because everyone's main and someone. It's already been done like 100 times, like Huntress mains or
hmm
Billy mains. It's one of the hardest things, especially with Dead by Daylight. Trying to
Yeah,
find
it's
that
hard to
niche.
think of
Yeah,
something that
yeah,
nobody's doing, whether it's like escape streak, killer streak, toxic builds, you name it. Like there's somebody out there who's doing it.
yeah.
So,
yeah,
and if they are doing it, then you got to figure out how are you going to do it better. Like
Mm.
when I started doing DBD news videos,
hmm,
I was watching DBD news videos and I was like, I can do this better than this person is doing. So then I started doing it. And now,
yeah,
there's people who do it better than me, right? But at the time, I was like, why am I watching this? Like, I can just dissect what he's doing, and I can package it and deliver it better than he is doing it. And then that's what
Yeah,
I did. So
fair enough. Because how did you come about into sort of joining DBD initially? Like, what sort of draw you in?
I used to play Clash of Clans,
All right, okay,
and I had a clan of people who were in my group, and we would battle in these clashes of clans, right? And one of the people in my clan, who was like my longest standing subscriber for the longest time, he said, check this game out. You ever seen this? And I was like, what is that? I'm like, the video games can do this? This is what video games can be? How do I become a part of this? I'd never seen anything like it. And I just immediately fell in love. I said, I need to be playing this. And I didn't even have a good PC at the time. I had a Hewlett Packard business workstation PC.
yeah,
And I was just determined to try and make Dead by Daylight work on that. And it would crash a lot because it wasn't up to snuff. But I
yeah,
would just forge ahead and play for those games where I could get the computer to stay stable for the whole thing. And then I moved on. But that was how much I loved that game. And I played it like, I don't know, like first 2 weeks of like launch after it came out of alpha or beta
yeah.
or whatever the release date was. I was there for that. And one of my first videos was like I had no understanding of how the game worked. Um I didn't know there was more than one exit gate. So I was like guarding the
Yeah.
exit gate. I didn't know what was going on. I was totally wet behind the ears. And I think Tofu killed me in one of my first videos. And
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't have any idea who he was at the time either. Right. I didn't know what was going on, but I just knew that I loved the concept of the game and I wanted to be part of it. So,
Fair play, because like I played the game when it was officially released. An American mate of mine said, "Oh, Royal, you need to play this horror game," because I love horror games. I'm a massive Resident Evil fan, and horror movies as well. I love, especially the older ones. I find that the newer horror movies are quite not up to my cup of tea. But I played one game initially. I played as Claudette on the old Thompson house, so the map was pitch black. It was against a Billy, and I had to change my underwear within the first 5 minutes. I panicked. So I played some more games for about a week. I didn't really understood the concept of the game, so I put it away, and then I found out that Pyramid Head was coming to Dead by Daylight, and I thought, right, this is my jam. I'm coming back, and I've been playing the game ever since. And I got to give props to the Dead by Daylight community because there is a lot of like phenomenal people out there. Like with myself and Metal, we met through a game of DBD. He was playing
Yeah,
Hunters, and I
that's
was playing.
awesome.
I was playing as a survivor, and we was playing whack a mole on the water
yeah,
tower.
yeah, you are.
um, but yeah, because with any game, every game has its own faults. But with Dead by Daylight, it's like a love hate relationship. I think everyone has. Either one minute you absolutely love DBD and you're on the best time of your life, or another minute you just have to have a break from it. But no, overall I do love DBD. It's the game that sort of helped me with Twitch as a whole. I've been doing quite well so far. And obviously same with you, Metal, as well. Obviously you stream DVD for God knows how long.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I've done it for about a year and a half.
yeah,
Again, I was a Huntress main. That's all I ever done for about a year and a half. It was just pure just Huntress.
yeah,
And again, again, what makes DVD for me is the community. Because again, you meet so many credible people through it. Well, I've met loads of people. Like again, me and Royal. If we didn't play that one game of DVD, we'd probably never met, like ever.
yeah.
So
One of
yeah,
my good friends that I met through DBD was way back when it was peer to peer before they had dedicated servers.
yeah.
And I got hit with this hatchet that I was like 10 feet away, and I was like chirping at him in post game chat, and I'm like, come see the hit, come see the hit. And then now we're like really good friends now. But that was how we met, over me complaining over this peer to peer hit that was like, no way, I can't believe that hit me.
Yeah, yeah. Because obviously there has been like I gotta give props where props is due with behavior as well. Like some of the exploits, some of the major ones as well, like with the being able to get in like physically inside the locker without doing the animation with the flashlight. I must admit, behavior did do a kill switch for that like really quickly. Obviously, there's still some bugs that's been in there for a while, but I think that's another reason why I'm really looking forward to this sort of delay in the content to be able to bring Dead by Daylight up to scratch. I think a lot of people have been asking behavior to do that, and I think
Oh
now
yeah.
they're doing it, especially with FNAF coming around the corner. I think it's a massive step for behavior, and I just hope they can nail it. Because if they can nail it, it's gonna increase the life expectancy of this game many years. I think.
Yeah, I mean, they have to put their best foot forward, and like you said, people have been calling for an Operation Health, whatever you want to call it, like a chapter off, just
Yeah,
to get the game right. And I think they're smart enough to recognize it now that they know that they quote unquote fumbled the ball when Nemesis came out. Right, we had such high numbers on the Steam charts.
oh
I
yeah,
forget what it was, 80,000, 75,000. We had so much more interest in the game when Nemesis came out. And then it was so buggy that people were just like, well, this is unplayable.
yeah,
And then they went for refunds and never came back. Like you don't get that many opportunities to introduce a whole new audience to your game like that. And this is definitely going to be one of them. And it's got to be right. You know, nobody wants
yeah,
to see 200,000 people come in and then the game is just not working. So
yeah,
I
and
can't even imagine what numbers when when FNAF comes out. I can't even imagine what numbers
it's
we're going to
gonna
hit.
be, yeah, it's
It
gonna
seems
be.
like it's going to be
I
a
think it's
record.
probably yeah, I think it's going to be way over 100K easily because the community for FNAF is incredible. Like I've never personally played FNAF, so I don't really understand the hype about it, but I do understand how big the community is for FNAF. But I think it's a good idea that Behavior has delayed that content to sort of make sure the game is polished enough and ready for the FNAF community to come in, and also for the people that's been playing DVD for a number of years as well. It's going to benefit everyone in the long haul, providing obviously behavior can sort of accomplish it. And I really do hope they do. Um, quick personal question, Paulie. What has been your sort of proudest streaming moment, or in regards to like content creation? What's been your proudest moment?
Uh, I've had people share personal stories with me about how I helped them get through hard times or that maybe they wouldn't even be here anymore
Yeah,
if it wasn't for me. And I mean, that's like the highest honor anybody can give you that, make you feel like you've made an impact on the world and done something for somebody else. And I can't think of anything greater than that.
yeah,
That's got to be it. Like YouTube plaque or whatever is one thing, but actually genuinely
making a
touching
difference.
somebody's life and making a difference in their life and getting
Yeah,
them through a hard time until they were okay. Like I can't think of anything greater than that for
yeah,
society, really. You know,
yeah. Because like because with our streamers, obviously we do have like a sort of obligation to look after our community. Obviously, to a certain degree, you do have to sort of set limits as well. Um, but no, I completely agree. I've got a couple of people in the community that's going through hard moments in their life, as we all do. Um, and I think just being able to, even if it's something as minor as allowing them to join in a game of Dead by Daylight for a few games, something like that can make such a difference for a viewer and a member of your community as well. It can literally be life changing sometimes. But no, I completely agree. That's amazing though that because I must admit, like looking at the reviews of yourself, there's not a single person out there that dislikes you. You're like one of
well, I don't know
the
about that.
sort
I don't know about that. I wouldn't
of
go that far.
well, like from what I've seen, you're like one of the most loved people in the DVD community, and I can see why. I've watched your streams, I've watched your videos. You're one of by far the most humbling and chilled out streamer I've come across. And you make everyone feel warm and welcome. And I can see why your community is so strong and so sort of I'm trying to think of the actual word. Sort of devout to you. It's honestly, it's amazing to see. It really is. And it sort of inspires me as well. Because when I stream, I would say 95% I'm myself, I'm just being me. And then that extra 5%, also you do have to add the extra seasoning of entertainment. You do have to be energetic, this and that. But I must admit, like from all the comments I've seen about you, Paulie, everyone loves you. And it's honestly it's amazing to see.
Well, I appreciate it, but everybody's not for everybody. I definitely
Yeah,
have my haters and things like that, and it just comes with the territory. But yeah, at the end of the day, like in society, if we can't be here for each other, then what is life all about? You know what I mean? That's kind of like
exactly.
my take on everything. So
Yeah. Yeah, because like with streamers as well, I always find that streamers do try to copy other streamers to a certain degree. And I always say comparison is the thief of joy. Just be yourself, do your own thing, and you never know, something may happen.
oh
Um,
yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you with that. I see people who get hung up on their numbers or what is this person doing? What am I doing? And I'm like, at the end of the day, all you should be trying to do is be a better version of yourself. You can't like
exactly.
hold someone else's mirror up and look at their reflection and compare yourself to
Yeah,
what they're doing. Just stay on the grind and try and do whatever you're doing, try and do it better, try and improve, be a better version of yourself. Don't try to be somebody else, like you said. Like
yeah,
that's a big one for me in my mind. So
yeah. And it takes the
I
fun
try
out
to
of
never look
streaming.
at that stuff. Even some of this stuff, like, where they try and show you your year in review, and then you're going to see other people post their year in review. Like,
Yeah,
that's a real challenge to not compare yourself in those moments. So I don't get hung up on that stuff, like looking at my year in review, looking at other people's year in reviews, because I think it will be, like you said, that thief of joy that you're going to look and you're going to think, well, what
yeah,
am I doing wrong? Why do they have more or whatever? So I try to stay away from that stuff.
yeah. And like, I don't blame you. I'll I've been guilty of that. I used to get really run down if my viewers sort of started to decline, the subs started to
Yeah.
decline. But then you just have to remind yourself why you started streaming. It's a hobby. Some people do get very lucky and it becomes their job, and they do get a really good income or at least a steady income from it. But for me, it's a hobby and it's a bit of fun. You get to meet amazing people along the way. But yeah, you just
Yeah.
have to remind yourself that it's a hobby.
And
There's
like,
Yeah.
no need.
and like again, like you don't know
I,
when your actual time's gonna come. Like
Mm,
it could just take one video, or like on TikTok or YouTube Short, and
yeah,
like you could just blow up as well. Like because a lot of these content creators been doing it for years, like 7, 8 years. Obviously, they started with no viewers. Do you know what I mean? They started with no viewers,
yeah.
but it just again, it's a
7 year
grind.
overnight success.
Yeah,
yeah,
but
7 year overnight
it
success.
it takes dedication and hard work, and like the
yeah,
willingness to sort of put yourself out there, and obviously go through the bad times, especially
yeah,
with streaming. If you can go through that, again, you never know. That one video you post might blow up, and you might become the
Yeah.
next big thing. So
yeah,
you always got to keep on the
Yeah.
grind.
Even the emailed stream reports, I don't really,
No.
yeah.
look at
I'm
all
not
that.
too
I'm just
bothered.
like, it's not going to change what I'm going to do. So why do I even look at it? I'm going to do the same thing the next day. And there are other factors. Like I don't think anybody is. It's not a news flash that the economy isn't as good as it has been in the past.
Yeah,
So like, there's less money going around. People paying $15 for a carton of eggs and stuff. Like, there's less extra money going around. It's just
yeah,
understandable that you know money, those kind of things, subs would be down, all that stuff, right?
yeah,
So
yeah. And like, it does bug me when certain streamers, unfortunately, you do see them where they're expecting donations and they're expecting subs and just anything. And I still find it weird when people donate bits or don't, gift a sub or sub themselves. Like, I personally find that strange. It's a strange feeling, but it is a nice feeling as well. But I always feel that I don't deserve it. Um, but it is amazing what communities can do together. But yeah, I always find sort of donations a weird feeling because I've always I've always worked full time all my life and been able to play a game that I would normally do. The only difference is I stream it, and someone's saying, "Oh, here's $5 for a sub," and I'm like, "You don't have to pay. You can just watch. You can watch for free. It's fine." Um,
Well, I mean, those people believe in you, right? They want to
yeah,
support you in your hobby and make life a little easier for you. I'm always appreciative of those folks who do that, obviously. But as you said, it's never expected. Never going to
yeah,
be one of these people that you hear horror stories about that are like, "Where's the subs today, guys?" It's like,
yeah,
what do you mean? What are you talking about? Like,
yeah.
that they expected is never expected, but always appreciated.
Oh, 100%. Because every time I get, like a sort of donation, I think like, oh, do I have to send you toe pics or something now? Like, I don't know what you want from me in exchange.
You're suspicious of the quid pro quo, huh?
Yeah. Um, Obviously, there is sort of still a lot of people out in the DVD community that still don't truly understand what a fog whisperer entails or what does it mean to be a fog whisperer. So, from my point of view, I understand that the fog whisperer is basically the bridge between myself and behavior themselves as well. Obviously, I can only assume you would explain it way better than myself. Would you mind
That's actually
explaining?
generally the way I explain it is as
Yeah,
a bridge of communication between the average player and the devs because
yeah,
they're not going to have access to the devs, right? So they can come and ask me if they have questions, and hopefully I know those answers. And I can be the bridge of communication to let them know what's happening in the game, or if they don't understand how to get an achievement or something like that, I can help them with those things, explain the language of a trophy, or those
yeah,
kind of things like that. But I don't get advanced information. I don't know what's happening, what's coming up in the game. I generally know as much as everybody else, but I have a little bit more in depth um, knowledge about those kind of things that they might,
yeah,
I'm studying when the roadmap, what's coming out when, those kind of things like that. Or if they have questions about quality of life and what's happening, like that's where I'm making the content, the news videos, and brushing up on that stuff. So I have those questions answered. So
yeah.
I have the answers to those questions. So I was recruited, I think it's going to be 7 years this year in
Yeah,
September.
because you're one of the
And
original 10, ain't you?
yeah, it was. So we had a community manager. I don't know how familiar you are with the old devs, the old guard of the devs, but community manager was a lady by the name of Not Queen.
Not Queen, yeah, I
She was
remember
the
Not Queen,
community
yeah.
manager. So she approached me out of the blue, sent me an email, said, "So we're doing this thing with a pilot program of fog whisperers for like partnered influencers, and do you want to be in it?" And I was like, "Me?" I was like, "Did you send the email to the right person?" Because there were a lot of people who are much bigger in the landscape than I was at the time. And I was like, "Shoosh, yeah, I want to be in it." So I think it was 10 people initially, six of which were English speakers. And then there was like Russian, German, etc.
Yeah,
So yeah. And then the program, they said, we're going to do this as a pilot and see how it goes. And if we're happy with it, then we're going to expand it. And I think it's about 75 people worldwide now, roughly.
yeah. God,
But
that's
yeah,
that's grown quite a lot,
yeah,
especially in, 7 years, 7, 8 years. Like, fair play. Um, but honestly, like, with yourself, what you see is what you get, and that's probably why they lent to you, because you're not you can't really provide that risk to them because again, you're so laid back, you're so chill. And even from your explanations when you do these sort of in-depth videos of the news, the upcoming roadmap, stuff like that, um yeah, I couldn't think of a better person to join the Fog Whispering program, to be honest.
Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I've had people say to me, well, it's because you're predictable because of your maturity. You're older. You don't have to worry about
Mm,
giving this role to like a teenager or somebody
yeah,
in their early 20s who could fly off the handle and turn on you or something like that. I'm like, I don't know if that's true, but that was an argument that was made to me by outsiders about why I was selected. But I was always obviously grateful that they chose me, and I'm grateful
yeah,
to be in the program. It means a lot to me, so it doesn't mean as much to everybody. There's been other people over the years that it hasn't meant as much to. So, but I'm obviously very appreciative of it. I
yeah,
try to be respectful of it. And basically, what happens is I get some codes on each chapter release to give away to my audience, and then I get Auric cells so that I can buy cosmetics with them. But it's never given to me in a way like, hey, always be out there selling cosmetics. Like we're giving you this, start showing off the cosmetics, start
upselling, yeah,
sell cosmetics. Like that's never ever said, right?
yeah,
It's just like here's an allowance. And I think there were fog whisperers out there who never spent their allowance, that they just banked them and didn't buy the outfits because they didn't particularly play the characters that got new outfits. So it was never like, we need you to be showcasing stuff. It was just like, here's
yeah,
your allowance, what you want with it. And some people never did anything with it.
yeah,
But I always, out of respect for that mutual relationship, I try to show off the new cosmetics, right? Because I
yeah,
know that if people buy those cosmetics, then that's money that goes into the game, pay salaries and things like that. But yeah, it's never told to me that that's what I need to do with
yeah.
my role, right? And actually, I don't know when I'm going to do it, but I just got 10 codes for a pinhead that I'm going to give away on stream because
Nice.
he's leaving, right? So
Yeah,
there's going to be
that was
some
going to be
people
my
out
next
there that don't
question.
have the
Yeah,
money. So if they tune in, then maybe they can get a code from me on a random draw. So
yeah, because that was going to be my next question. Your sort of thoughts of Pinhead leaving. Like I did a stream earlier today, and I said with a live service game, you're always going to run that risk of losing, the license or the sort of terms and conditions changing. And a lot of people I've noticed have been saying that Pinhead will just be removed from the game, like from videos I've seen on YouTube. And I always reply saying it's just going to be the exact same what happened to Stranger Things. You'll still
yeah,
be able to play those characters, have those perks, but you just won't be able to purchase them from whichever date they choose. Which I think is it? No, it's not April 1st. April some 5th,
fourth, I think,
4th. Yeah, something like that.
something
Yeah.
like that.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, nobody gives you the license to their property forever, right? It just doesn't
yeah,
happen. It's going to be a finite amount of time, and then it'll be up for renewal. So this was kind of a unique situation with Park Avenue Entertainment was the rights holder
yeah,
to the Hellraiser movie, right? And that's what the license is based on. And if you're familiar with the Victor Miller Friday the 13th situation, where he was the screenwriter of the first Friday the 13th movie. And then they had this law come in where after 35 years, I think you could reclaim your rights in the United States. So they went through a whole lawsuit, right? And Victor Miller won. He owns the rights to the first Friday the 13th. And so now those two have been fighting and making the lawyers rich back and forth. Sean Cunningham of Horror Inc.
yeah,
and Victor Miller for years. They're finally coming together and saying, hey, can we make some money together instead of making all the lawyers rich, and like we
yeah,
can split this money here. It looks like they want to go forward and start putting Jason in video games now. So what happened with Clive Barker, who wrote the Hellbound Heart, right, of the Hellraiser story, and he wrote the movie, and I think he directed it too. He made his intentions known, I think in December 2020. I might not have the dates exactly right, but he said, I'm going to reclaim my rights in a year, December 2021. The rights are reverting to me. So he made his intentions known. So Park Avenue kind of squeaked the Pinhead Hellraiser chapter out with DBD in September 2021, I want to say.
Yeah.
And then in December 2021, Clive got the rights back. So whenever this
Oh,
needed
right,
to be
okay.
renegotiated, Clive owns the rights now. But it's weird because these legal agreements, he only owns the rights in the United States. Worldwide, Park Avenue still owns the rights because that's where the the law applies, is in the United States. So it's a split license, right? So
Yeah.
Clive owns it in the United States and Park Avenue Entertainment owns it worldwide. Well, DBD is a game that has DLCs distributed worldwide, right? So how do you
Yeah.
carve that out, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going to happen. Like they might, some people saying, oh, they'll just get it back in 2 years, just like they did with Stranger Things, which may be true. That might be true. But as long as everybody who owns it before the drop dead deadline of April 4th comes in, they get to keep it, right? You own it, you
Yeah.
get to keep it. So there's no problem there, really. It's only going to hurt the people who come later. Like, say,
Yeah.
if the FNAF people come in and they are like, well, how come I can't buy this Hellraiser chapter? Like, that's a conversation that is going to have to be explained to them in the future. It's only going to hurt the new players who come
Yeah.
down the road. But they might get it back. I don't know. Would love to see it come back. Nobody likes to see
A killer go.
characters come in and out of the stables, but you know, it could potentially happen again because a few years ago, um, um, Wes Craven's estate, they reclaimed the rights to Freddy from to Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
So where does that leave that license? So maybe those parties are still the movie studio and Wes Craven's estate are working together, and it's just business as usual. They don't want to they don't want to mess anything up. They just want to be able to get their cut, right? So maybe it's amicable, but who knows? Who knows? That could happen to Freddie down the road too.
Yeah.
Hopefully not.
Yeah, I must admit, I have been enjoying the new Freddy changes, especially with his dream snares. I'd find him more. Well, I do find him now. He's still not the strongest killer. Don't get me wrong, but he's a hell of a lot better
Statistically,
than.
he is.
Well, yeah, kill rate wise, yes.
Yeah, yeah,
He's the highest, isn't he? If I'm not
yeah.
mistaken. But yeah, he's a lot more fun now to play as, especially now you have the ability to use both the skill shot of the dream snare and now the dream pallets. And I must admit, it is so satisfying getting a down or even a ninja exploding the pallets. Oh, it's
I
so
saw a
nice.
video where somebody got two downs blowing up one pallet. I was like, oh my gosh. They blew up the pallet at the top of the stairs in the RPD.
Yeah.
You know the one I mean? They blew
Yeah.
that one up and got two people down. And I was like, oh my gosh.
Fair,
They gave
fair
Freddie
play.
way more than I thought they would. I would have just been
Yes.
happy to have both pallets and snares at the same time. They gave him and the ability to teleport to completed gens. Those were the things that I thought he needed, and he got
Yeah.
even more.
Because that was the thing I used to find really frustrating with Freddy was once the all the gens were completed, his TP aspect of his power was gone. You couldn't
Yeah,
use it, and it was
he got
so
weaker as the
frustrating.
game went on.
Yeah.
He did. But it's nice now being able to teleport to completed gens. Obviously, with add-ons, you can TP to exit gates, and now you can even TP to healing survivors, providing they're in the dream world.
That one was a little much for me. I was like, "Holy cow!"
Yeah.
I was like, "Really?"
Yeah, but I find him now. He does take a little bit more skill, especially with the range attack for his dream snare. But yeah, Freddy's a force to be reckoned with at the moment. I think a lot of people are not sort of utilizing it because Metal came back for the Freddy rework, and I think after 10 or 15 games, we had one friend
Yeah.
Freddy and two Houndmasters, which we
Yeah.
were quite shocked about. Um, that's the thing I was going to come on to. So a lot of the DLCs that's been advertised with behavior. So they did a phenomenal job with Pinhead, the little teasers, the audio files that you could sort of transcribe. I thought it was such a nice touch. The Unknowns advertisement as well with the video footage that scared the heck out of me, and I was so excited. And then it came to the Houndmaster. It felt like there was no advertisement.
Yeah,
Um,
nothing.
Yeah, and I was really surprised. And when the Houndmaster came out, she wasn't exactly the best. The power was a bit janky, and yeah, I don't know what happened there personally. I don't know why there was no sort of advertisement. I don't know if it was leaked. Maybe that was because of it. I don't know. I don't know the
Well, we
reason
did
why it
have
didn't
some
go.
layoffs.
I think we had got some internet connection issues. I think.
Yeah. Let me check the.
Yeah. Sorry, chat. So you're welcome into the new people as well from Paulie's community. Welcome in, welcome in.
Yeah, the server room's on.
All right, okay.
There, it's gone green now.
There
Oh,
we
there
go.
we go.
In
There
and
you
out,
go.
in
Yeah,
and out. Stabilized. Looks like it's stabilized.
Yeah, I think it's just Discord. Discord does this sometimes.
Yeah, it's a right pain in the backside. Oh, I think Paulie's gone again.
Because sometimes it even happens between me and you. We'd be sitting in a
It
call
does, yeah.
and it just cuts out.
It does, yeah.
Video connected. Well, okay, it's going red, green, red, green.
Seems to have stabilized now.
Okay. So they had some layoffs. You know,
Yeah.
they lost some staff, right? And a few of those people were from that group who would
Oh, the
develop those
marketing team.
teasers.
Oh,
Yeah,
right, yeah.
yeah. So I don't
God,
know
those
if it's a
guys, yeah.
combination of those things where some of those people got let go and also there were leaks out there and they just decided to fold it up or what. But yeah, like you said, that the amount of work that went into those daily teasers for the unknown, like that's chef's kiss, some of the
Mm.
best work that
It
they
was,
have ever done in that department. And it
yeah,
was a real blow to see like those people are the ones who were let go
yeah,
because like I don't know. I mean, business is tough. The industry is in a really bad spot. I think we
yeah.
could see that from like in Marvel Rivals who comes on the scene with gangbusters and they're holding the whole studio in Seattle, Washington area, right? Like how good do you have to be in the video game industry to have any kind of job security anymore, really?
Yeah.
Like,
And, I
years
think a
ago I
lot of
would tell kids, chase your dreams, you want to be in gaming, do it. But now I'd be
yeah.
like, well, maybe learn a trade. How do you feel about plumbing? You know what
Yeah.
I mean? Like something that's never gonna go out of style, you know?
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing with gaming now these days. Like, I grew up on the PS1 and the Nintendo 64 when it was like little pixels on the screen. Like, gaming now is such a high benchmark, like compared to what it used to be. Like, no wonder some of these game studios are like, there's so much competition, and like again,
Yeah.
Behaviour have done really well to sort of like dominate the asymmetrical genre. They sort of dominated it because any other sort of game like VHS or anyone like that, nowhere near what Behaviour have done, and they've done really well to keep themselves there.
Oh, yeah.
Because
Yeah, they
again,
had a big start, so they were lucky because like let's be real, the game wasn't great on
no,
release. Like
no,
it had
no.
problems, right? But people
Yeah.
loved it so much that they had time to shore it up and fix those deficiencies.
Yeah. Because I think as well, another thing that's probably why behavior has been so successful in the asymmetrical game, because you had Friday the 13th, you've got Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you've got Killer Clowns. The things that they've got in common is that they focus on one IP. With behavior, because they've built this foundation where they can say, "Oh, do you want to come in and join?" You know, and they've been able to bring in so many communities in. They sat on a golden egg, in my opinion, when it comes to asymmetrical, and that's probably why they are literally king of the hill. Um, and yeah, like you said, Metal, they have done so well to be able to have a game last this
Just
long,
even get the
especially in a live
licenses.
service.
Yeah, like get the
Yeah.
licenses that you have, like Resident Evil. Like when that come to the game, like it brings so many people into the game, especially with like Nemi then Wesker. Like,
Mm.
and like Wesker's probably been, I'd say, probably the best killer they've done. like in terms of like Survivor. Because when I play Survivor, I love going against Wesker. He's my favourite. I love getting chased with Wesker. And like, again, there's these other ones like you say, Pinhead, Silent Hill, all these. It's to actually even get them. Like I don't think any other game could possibly pull that like at all.
Yeah,
Especially now because like DVD owns the market pretty much of the
yeah,
asymmetrical horror. So again, like Behavior's
Yeah,
done
it's like
a
the Mortal Kombat of
mm,
asymmetrical horror, right?
yeah, basically yeah.
yeah,
The only thing that's gonna obviously destroy DVDs themselves. And now, like we talked about before, but they're doing that Operation Health, which again, hats off to them because they could have gone, no, you know what, we keep pumping content out, content, getting the money, but it takes, some courage to do it because they know they're going to lose money in the day, but the game needs it 100% for it to survive.
hmm
Because if
yeah,
not, it may be what I'll give it another 2 years, maybe. And again, I don't want to see the game die, even though I don't really play it that much these days, but still love the game. Still
yeah,
want to see it thrive.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm glad they took the leap. And,
Mm.
there are some detractors about people like, oh, okay, well, I don't like the way you've designed this or for these different options that are coming up, like the surrender and things like that. But I'm like, I just keep telling myself, hey, I'm just glad they're doing something.
yeah,
And all of this can be a work in progress and finessed if they're like, this isn't working. We need to change this about this. At least it's started, right? It's
yeah,
coming.
Mm.
And we could build off the bones of that and adjust it accordingly for, okay, this isn't working because we had a blind spot on this flaw in the system, so we have to change how we're going to do this. At least they've started that groundwork. But yeah,
yeah,
I'm so happy that they have done this. I didn't think they would ever really do it because it's always felt like the trains have to run on time. The schedule is the schedule. We have the next license in the row. We have to keep going. We have to keep going, and trains got to run on time for the release schedule. So I'm glad that they did this and you know had that courage to take those 3 weeks off because we did have
hmm
a lull between like when the pig came out in December, January, and then the clown came out in June. And, there was a drop off in player base, right?
yeah,
So they had to know going into this that there would be a lull, right? And without the content is what keeps people
yeah,
interested, need new content. But now it's better now because they have these things with the tomes where they have these mid chapters to prop it up with a new tome and just keep things going on between the in-game modes and more of that, right? More stop gaps between releases. So
yeah. Because like I got my partner into Dead by Daylight because she always moaning that you know I will never play a game that she likes. She loves Fortnite. I don't like it because I hate getting crapped on by a 12-year-old. It frustrates me. So I said to her, I said, look, play Dead by Daylight. And she said to me, she said, can you explain it to me? I said, well, name me another game where you could play as Steve Harrington from Stranger Things, have a partner called Leon S. Kennedy, have Ash from the Evil Dead, and go up against the Xenomorph. There's no other game like it. And I explained it, obviously, the actual sort of aspect of the game. And she's now a trapper main, but she won't play any other killer. So she has selected a hard life for herself.
well,
um,
trapper main's respectable. I mean, I'll
yeah,
give props to the people who are out there trapper maining it for sure. I enjoy playing trapper.
yeah, but she does have a lot of patience. She got more than me, so I got to tip my
It
hat off
can
to her.
be it can be difficult, a hard road to
hmm
hoe for sure.
Oh, it is. But like you said as well, with the delay in content, it does take a lot of courage to be able to do that because naturally, when there's a delay in content, the player base will take a dip. It was the same with Rainbow Six Siege. I used to play a lot of that. When Operation Health came in for that, the player base did drop. But overall, that game is still going really, really strong, and it's probably because of Operation Health because they just help polish the game. But I am rooting for Dead by Daylight, and it's nice that they brought in game modes after many, 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 many years of asking for it. Um, and it's nice that they have dipped their toe in it and they've noticed what sort of game modes everyone does enjoy. Paulie, what's your favorite game mode? Personally, for me, I love Chaos Shuffle. I think that's my go-to.
I would give it to Chaos, hands down, except there's so many blood points to be had in 2v8 when you play
There is.
Survivor. So I'm just like, oh man, I'm getting rich. Money, money, money. Give me the blood points. So
Yeah.
like I was getting like 120 to 150,000 blood points each game in 2v8
Yeah.
as Survivor, right?
Yeah, yeah, because that's the thing. So I personally find with 2v8 mode, it's more fun to play as the killer in 2v8 personally. But bless the killers don't really get any love in regards to the blood point aspect, but that's purely for the fact that everyone wants to play as killer, which is fair enough. But yeah, when you play as survivor, the amount of blood points you can get. Imagine if you could bring in, cobblers or party streamers on top.
Oh yeah. I was getting like 2 million blood points every 3 hours, something like that. I was just like reaping it in. And then people were like, want to go back to 1v4? And my friend told me, she said, yeah, I got 4,000 points my first game in 1v4. I'm like, I can't go back to that. I'm not ready. I'm not ready to go back to those blood point levels.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be able to bear it. So, but yeah, I do
yeah,
like the chaos because I used to think, no, I have my build. I have my comfort build. I don't want to do that. I want to play my build. I don't want to play some random build. But they were like, my friend said, yeah, but you're not going to have to go against the meta build for the killer.
yeah.
They're going to have randoms too. And then I realized I preferred having my randoms versus their randoms instead of meta versus meta.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's less stressful and it's less competitive as well. Um, but yeah, with Chaos Shuffle, it is a lot of fun. It's not fun when you spawn in and then boom, you realize you got no mither. That's never fun. And then they pair up with Self K. Great times. But I do like the chaos aspect. Is there any sort of aspects of the Chaos Shuffle that you would change, Paulie or Metal?
I, you go ahead, Metal.
Challenge, no. Like, I wish I'd just put it in permanently. Like, just have a little side mode if you want it. Go and play it. But I think it's a game mode they should just add permanently. Because everyone loves Chaos Shuffle. Like, everyone loves it. Especially when it's in the tome. And you get a little challenge, you get the random perks. Like, everyone loved those challenges. So for me, the only thing I would change is put it in permanently.
Personally, I think they could increase the amount of chaos. Like, okay, I'm getting this random build, but I know I can kind of give myself a security blanket and bring a med kit in, and I'm going to be okay.
Yeah,
But what if you made it so that everybody got random items given to them to bring into the trial, and it didn't come from your inventory? It just came from the entity, just gives it, right?
yeah,
And so the killer has random add-ons, survivors have random items, and then the offerings are played at random. So you can't pick the map.
oh, that'll be
Just
good.
turn up the chaos. Just make it be more chaotic, more randomness
Yeah,
instead of like, because even okay, so right now as it is, assuming that the March chaos is going to be the same as they've done in the past. If you go in as a killer, you might get a random build, but you can get your security blanket add-ons, your favorite add-ons. You're going to be fine, right? To bring that. If I'm survivor, I can bring my favorite med kit with a needle. I'm going to be fine, and I can even pick the map, right?
yeah,
I think that's a little too much control for what is supposed to be chaotic. So I would say personally, turn the chaos up even further.
yeah.
Maybe.
No,
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah,
Maybe that would be a turn off for some people. I don't know.
I was just thinking, imagine they'd done it where, like, say, you brung in a toolbox, but you got a syringe in your toolbox. Or you got a brand new part in your med kit or something. That'd be quite funny, that would.
Yeah, because I think what would be a good little combo is obviously the previous masquerade event they did. They had whenever a gen pops, they'll have that random sort of like power up for the survivors or power up for the killer. It'd be cool if they added that element to the chaos shuffle as well. So again, adding more to the chaos. But no, I agree. I think if you can control where the map is going to be, and you can control the item you're going to bring and the add-ons as well. Again, like you said, it's like that safety blanket. But yeah, I'm all down for more chaos. But it's nice that behavior is dabbling in other game modes, like they did the My Little Oni. I didn't expect that at all, and when I
That was a
saw it,
shock. I was
that
like,
was.
This isn't real. Like, what? This is real?"
I thought like someone put a sticker on my monitor. I was like, what's going on here? And then I clicked on it and I just see this 30, 40 foot Oni. I'm like, oh shit. And then everything else is like an extra 6, 7 feet above me. I'm like, oh great, this is great.
And
Um
then Meg had her like gigantic, like little
ponytails. Yeah.
ponytails. Yeah.
Oh, it was hilarious. But yeah, I think Chaos Shuffle for me is probably the majority of the community's favorite. Um but yeah, and also, what's your at the very moment? What is your opinion on Dead by Daylight as a whole, and that includes like the actual gameplay aspect and the community? Do you have like a sort of a general opinion?
I don't know. Like, I'm not sure. Like, it seems like they're trying to balance out all these killers and give them all buffs, which is great for variety. But I'm not sure if like 60% is the target number
Yeah,
they should be aiming for. It seems a little high to me personally. I know there are a lot of killers who aren't even there. Like a couple of weeks ago, Chucky was struggling to even hit 50. He was the bottom of the barrel. He was like a 48% killer. But I think 50 is a little more even. I don't know.
yeah,
Not sure.
because I watched your video of the recent patch notes for the PTB, and also they mentioned about the mending, the sort of changes to the deep wound, which is nice. Obviously, they want to sort of keep the action in, so survivors don't have to spend so much time mending. But then I saw the aspect that they're changing the aspect for lesion. I was like, right, okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Um,
You can
and
mend
obviously,
faster, but the Legion's also going to be able to make you mend faster, again. Like, oh, you
yeah,
did it again. Like, oh.
yeah, just being able to mend more frequently, and you're like, because that's the thing with lesion. He's more of a nuisance to people than he is than a really strong killer. But also they use that aspect as well with Ghostface, with the undetectable aspect as well. I'm quite curious about that because obviously, please correct me if I misunderstood or misremembered. Sorry. The terror radius has gone down for Ghostface.
Yeah. The stealth killers, what was it? Skull Merchant, the Pig, and Ghostface all got a reduction by 8 meters
Yeah, that's
in their
quite
tear
a lot.
radius from 32 down to 24. Now, if you run monitor and abuse, you
Yes,
can
even
bring that down
smaller.
even further.
Yeah,
Like, you're going to have some poop your pants against some Ghostface, I think.
yeah. I'm horrifically bad as Ghostface. I am so terrible. Um, and like with Skull Merchant as well, because bless her, she's had probably the biggest nerf in DVD history out of all the
I
killers.
would say. I would
it
say.
it is catastrophic for her, bless her. Um, but she does have arguably some of the nicest skins as well. Some of them are a little bit raunchier than others. I'm not complaining personally, um, but yeah,
The lunar
but
one that came out is like, oh, this is gorgeous. Too bad.
it is,
Nobody
yeah,
wants to play it right now in the current state.
yeah. But yeah, bless her. I think personally, I think she needs to be sort of relooked at. In regards to the concept, because when I first saw the release trailer for her, I thought, oh my god, it's Predator. Or at least they've got the grounds to maybe input a Predator skin because she does move, well, more sassy, but she does have similar movement, and she's got that weapon as well. You could have a sassy Predator, you never know. Um, but yeah, I think she needs to be sort of revisited personally.
Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't know. Like they said, she needs a whole entire rework from the ground up, but it was gonna take like 9 months or something.
Yeah,
So I don't know when we'll see that.
yeah. Is there any sort of killers that you would love to see in Dead by Daylight?
Like licenses brought to the game.
Yeah, or if you've come up with your own concepts, obviously survivors as well. If there's any sort of survivor you'd love to see in the entity.
Well, I think I'd love to see a unification of the Scream Ghostface license. Get the Sidney Prescotts and the Gale Weathers of the world. in the game, Dewey,
Yeah,
get to shore up the survivor side of that license. That would be a dream scenario. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. Candyman's also one that I've been
that's
wanting
been
for a long time. So,
yeah. A lot of
I
people have
mean,
wanted him for years.
if the people who think that um they needed the Pinhead license to expire before they could deal with Clive and bring it back, like, hey, if you're talking to Clive, can we also talk about Candyman? If you're talking to him about Pinhead, can we have a side convo about Candyman too? But
Yeah,
I don't know. So I don't think that one's ever coming. I mean, the time would have been like when they had their new movie, right? So I think the window's probably closed for that. Probably never going to happen. There's a
yeah.
few interesting licenses out there, but I'm an old guy. Like, stuff that is important to me isn't as important to the youth, and that's obviously the market they're going to go for. So they're not interested in listening to me when I say, "Oh, we need Elvira, we need
Oh, I would love
Phantasm."
Elvira. Oh,
They're like, that, you're old. We don't want that. Nobody
yeah,
wants that but you. Like, we want
yeah,
the FNAFs and the Terrifiers of the world. Like, that's the new cutting edge stuff that we want, right?
yeah,
So I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but I would love to have Elvira too.
yeah. She embarrassing little thing, but she's one of two celebrity crushes I used to have when I was a kid. Her and Kate Beckinsale from Underworld. That'd be cool if she was in the game as well. But yeah, I think Elvira would be a perfect fit, especially with her wittiness as well. Because you
Yeah,
got
especially
people
now
like
that we have the
Ash.
ability to add all these voice lines, like on the level that they did for Nicolas Cage.
Yeah,
Elvira could do that in her sleep.
yeah, she could. Yeah, she literally could. Oh, she would make a perfect fit. Um, like personally for me, like a lot of people, like especially in my community, would like to see Jason in Dead by Daylight, which I can understand why. But from looking at the perspective of what his abilities would be, what his add-ons stuff like that, he would remind me an awful lot of if Trapper and Myers combined. I don't know how they would be able to implement Jason into the entity. He would be a perfect fit, but I just don't know how behavior would sort of implement that. But obviously, I'm always intrigued, especially when they come up with an original design. Like the unknown, for me, that got smashed out the park. The marketing, the actual killer concept, the killer power, ability, it is phenomenal.
Yeah, it was a
But
pretty
yeah,
good release for an original, like top to bottom, for sure.
yeah, and I still laugh with people when they came up with the theories that the unknown is actually Dwight on in an alternative universe because he looks a lot like Dwight.
Ooh,
But yeah,
his twisted face. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Just I just need some moisturizer. You'd be Dwight again. Be fine.
As far as Jason, like, I didn't say like to see Jason come, because I think he is coming. I think it's just a matter
When?
of time, like when, not if he's coming. I think now that the Victor Miller and Sean Cunningham have kind of come together and said they want to put the property in games now. I
Yeah,
think obviously Dead by Daylight has to be a choice there. I think it's going to come eventually. So, but yeah, um, how can they differentiate him from Trapper? I don't really know. I don't have those answers, but that's not for me to figure out. Like,
yeah,
they did it with Leatherface and Billy, right? So,
yeah. That's true. Yeah,
we just have to, in devs, we trust that they can make him interesting and not a Trapper clone. They would never like just release Jason as a skin for Trapper. He'd have to be
yeah,
his own man.
yeah. Is there any sort of killers that you would like Metal to be sort of entered or survivors at least?
Like to honest, like again, I'm old school. Like all like your Ghostface, your Freddy's already in there, Myers, all that's already in there for me. So, like me, I personally, I like to see a lot more original concepts, a lot more. But yeah, for like, license wise, like, all mine are already in the game. Resident
Yeah,
Evils, they're all in the game for me. There's no one else really. I just love to see a bit more, like more original ones. Like, again, like unknown, like killers that have got really good chase power, and they put a lot of time and effort in, especially with the like getting them out there, showing them off. That's basically yeah,
that's what
every
built the hype.
yeah, build the hype up for them as well. Again, like Skull Merchant, not Skull Merchant, Hellmaster, sorry. There was nothing there, because I think they sort of knew like it wasn't gonna do well because
Historically, the December release has always been weak.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
always had issues with it, right?
mm,
Like Twins were fairly busted when they came
yeah,
out.
Yeah.
Masters fairly busted. Was Legion a December release? I can't remember now.
I
Like,
can't
I
remember.
can't remember either.
yeah, I'd have to go back and look. But Legion had its own issues with like
Yeah,
what perks you could actually use with the
mm,
character and the walking
yeah,
backwards
walking
and people
backwards. Yeah,
dropping the
yeah,
whole power being broken. Like
mm.
some of these originals have had some issues.
And
Yeah.
So Metal, are you one who wants to see a third Resident Evil chapter? Do you want to see Lady
no,
Dimitrescu, or you're
no,
not
no,
one
no,
of those?
no. I like,
I'm down. I'm
like,
down for
I
it.
think we got enough Resident Evil. I think we got the core of Resident Evil in that because then again you might overdo it. Because don't
Yeah.
get wrong, like Lady Dimitrescu, obviously a great character, obviously, but like I don't think she'll fit too well into DVD because again, what would be her power? What would she do?
Yeah.
Like we got enough Resident Evil.
Production.
We got enough.
You don't.
Got me.
We got enough
Yeah,
Resident
you don't
Evil.
want the game to like completely lose its identity
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
one license takes over. I think
Mm.
there's a fear that that could happen with Five Nights at Freddy's, but they
Yeah.
also had that fear when Stranger Things came.
Yeah.
Stranger Things
Yeah.
was so big, and people thought, "Oh, that's it. It's just going to be Stranger Things every game," and that didn't prove to be true. So, you know, hopefully that won't be true with FNAF either, unless it's super fun, and then we won't care, right? So,
Yeah. Because that's the thing. I've never played FNAF. I don't really know enough about FNAF to be excited for it. I'm more curious than anything. There's a lot of people in my community that sort of grew up with FNAF, so they know the ins and outs of FNAF, and they tell me all this information. And I'm just there, like I haven't got a clue what you're saying. But yeah, I'm more intrigued and interested in what they're gonna be able to showcase because obviously they got the upcoming chapter. What's the because there was rumors about the new Japanese killer. I don't know if obviously if it's true or not, but I heard this from the manga series. I'm not too
they're
familiar
having
with
a
that.
they're having a presentation in Tokyo
Hmm,
on March 12th with the reveal, right? But I don't know about the timeline, like when it's because they're ahead of an hours beyond you and I
yeah,
in Tokyo, like what time that's going to be. Like if their March 12th is our March 11th, I don't know. But March 11th is when the PTB is coming out. We're going to find out. And it seems to me like they're going to Japan after 6 years, that it is going to be something that is going to
yeah,
resonate strongly with the folks in Japan. So
yeah,
seen on the Dead by Daylight Japan Twitter, they had Matthew Cote and Dave Richard like signing posters for the event, and they're doing this
yeah.
meet and greet and everything. So it's going to be something that's big in Japan, you know.
Yeah, because I do miss the developer streams as well. These because these are do them really frequently. But I can understand why they've sort of limited it because there's only so much they can talk about per week. 'Cause there's only so much that does happen. But I do really enjoy especially the community streams as well that they do. When they showcase up and coming events, cosmetics, stuff like that. I really do enjoy watching it, but I would like to see it more frequently because it's nice to see the developers or like the arts director, stuff like that, engaging with the community. But I would like to see it more often. I don't know if you would agree at all, or
Oh, I definitely would like to see them more frequently. They used to do them on a weekly basis, and there
yeah,
were some times where you could tell that they didn't have anything to announce, and they were just kind of like filling time. So I don't know that it needs to be that frequently,
yeah,
but I would like to see it more frequently than it is now. I don't even know if they're doing like a live stream from Japan simultaneously. If there's going to be a live stream on the next chapter release day, I don't know when they're doing the next one. Eric Pope, community director,
yeah,
I think he was in that quality of life video.
yeah. With
He did say we'll see him on the next live stream, but I'm not sure what he said or when that is. If it's for chapter release or chapter reveal day. I don't know. But did
Yeah,
you check DBD Twitter today? Did they do a teaser or anything?
I don't use Twitter.
Okay.
Unfortunately, yeah, I don't use Twitter.
All right. No worries.
Yeah, yeah, because I
Maybe
saw the
Monday we'll have a better idea, but we're gonna know what it is on Tuesday, one way or another.
yeah, that'll be good. I'm honestly I'm looking forward to the future of Dead by Daylight, especially with this health thing as well. It's it's the best step in the right direction for them. I just hope they can smash it, nail it. 'Cause I do love this
Yeah.
game, I really do.
Yeah, well, I
You
mean,
know,
we all want to see it cleaned up and be tighter. Like that bug you mentioned about people going into lockers and then they're untouchable. Like that's one of the bugs that just seems to be recurring. And it's like, how
it
is
does
this
come
coming
back, yeah,
back? Or why aren't you checking for this when the next chapter comes out? Like, why aren't you checking to see if that bug is in here? Like, how does it come
yeah,
back? It seemed like it always seemed to me like you should have a list of known bugs and like these are the bugs that keep coming back. So we got to check and see if they're in this patch. And then they just come out and it's like, how? How is that still in here? Didn't you
yeah.
check for that one? Like we know that this is a bug that keeps coming back.
Yeah, I did giggle when they obviously announced that with the surrender option. They said obviously if everyone's been put in the dying state, you have the option to surrender, and then right at the bottom it says, for the plot twist players, we already sussed this situation. You won't be able to do the surrender option. Because as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh my god, plot twist, that's going to be a thing now. And then
That's
in
funny.
fairness, they recognized it straight away.
Like, yeah, let's all give up. Plot twist, surrender.
Yeah. Because I did get concerned a good while ago when they introduced the if everyone was put in the dying state, the game would automatically finish with a Mori. And I think it was Spooky Loops. He played Oni on Dead Dog Saloon, and he managed to get the game done and dusted in less than 2 minutes and 30 seconds. It was ridiculous, and I was like, "Oh my god, please don't bring this in release." In fairness, they didn't. Um, but it's nice as well that the developers do have a little, tongue-in-cheek jokes with the community, especially with our post. I did find that quite amusing.
Yeah.
But at least they recognize the potential situation that could, that could arise. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, Metal, do you have any other questions?
No. Oh,
No, no. Paulie, thank you ever so much for tuning in and jumping in and even giving us the time out of your day to do this for us.
Yeah, it's
But
a lot of
before,
fun. Sorry about the time mix up. I
no,
got my
fine.
no, it's
That's
numbers
fine.
fine.
mixed up in my head.
It's absolutely fine. I do have one question though, just before we call it quits. Why did you say yes to do this for us?
Well, why not? Why shouldn't I? Is there some reason I shouldn't have?
Oh no, 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 no. No,
I don't
because
know. I mean, why not? You always gotta, like I said, what's life about if you can't help one another, right? So
yeah,
I didn't
yeah,
really need to, know your background and something you wanted to do, and I have the ability to do it. Why not? Why not do it? Give you guys a shot, help
yeah.
you out.
No,
Why not?
we really appreciate it. I was very surprised again that you said yes because firstly I thought, oh, maybe I've contacted like a spam account initially because you did respond in quite a quick manner. I was like, oh no, this
We
is going to
talked
be
on
horrible on
we
Whisper
talked on
initially.
Twitch DMs initially, right?
Yeah, initially,
Yeah.
yeah. Because I also we did a previous interview with Zeno and me, but he used to go by Dilly the Dragon, and he said,
Oh
"Oh,
yeah, I
maybe."
know Dilly. Yeah.
Yeah, he said, "Oh, maybe have a chat with Paulie because he might be up for this." And I thought, oh, I don't know if he's going to be able to have the time, the time for us. And we're such a small podcast at the moment. But go big or go home. And I popped through the message and I started bricking it. And I was like, oh, I shouldn't have sent that message. And in fairness, you did. And yeah, and
I
I'm
mean, I
happy
didn't
now.
figure it was going to be a big commitment. Like, I was like, oh, what could it be? Like 2 hours at the most of chatting, And
Yeah,
it's not like I had to do a lot of homework or prep for it, right? Like I said, I'm pretty much an open book. So I
yeah,
wasn't concerned about what you were going to ask me. I was just going to give you my honest answers. And, I didn't feel like I had to be guarded or,
yeah. Because I
I
wanted to
just
make sure.
trusted this was all going to be in good faith and it was going to be a
Oh,
good
yeah, of
time and we're
course.
going to have a good time.
Yes, because I always try and make the podcast feel less like an interview and more just like a general chinwag, just a nice little chat. cup of coffee, you're laughing. But again, I really, really appreciate you jumping on. Yeah. Do you have any questions for us by any chance?
No, it was a good time, honestly. The time flew by. How long was it? Like an hour and a half? Just not
Yeah,
not
about half
quite,
an
right?
half. Yeah,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
shy of
Yeah.
half
That
an
sounds
half.
really quick.
Yeah,
Yeah.
time flew
Mm.
by. It was a really good time.
Yeah.
I had a blast. I appreciate you inviting me, and I hope your audience got some value out of anything here that I said.
Oh no, of
So,
course. And no, and honestly, like I've always had high respect for you, Paulie, but my respect has just gone up that a little bit more purely for the fact that you've given us the time of day, and I really do appreciate it. But yeah, obviously, for anyone that's been watching this on the YouTube channel, Paulie does have two YouTube channels, I believe. You've got your main one, and you've got, is it Paulie?
Ollie
Oh my god,
Pops.
that's
I
the
haven't
one.
really
Yes,
done much with the Funko one for about 6 months. Kind of let that one fall by the wayside. So,
yeah,
but you never know. Never say never. But yeah, make sure
exactly.
you hit me with the link, and I'll put it out on socials. And if people who haven't seen it live want to watch the video and stuff, I'll definitely
Oh, amazing. Thank you.
help put it out there for anybody who wants to see it.
Yeah.
I super appreciate the invite, and I had a good time. It's nice to meet
Oh,
both of
good.
you.
Good. Yeah, and I'm sorry if my Welsh accent has come off quite strong. I have tried to pronounce my words quite clearly, but sometimes I speak way too quick and people need
Yeah.
subtitles half the time. But no, I appreciate it.
It wasn't a problem for me. I watched that show, The Traders. You know
Oh
that show, The
yes. Yeah.
Traders. And there was one woman on there. She's like, "I'm going to put on a Welsh accent," and I just kind of looked at my wife, and I was like, "I don't know. Do you hear anything different?" She sounds like everybody else on the show to me. I don't know this Welsh accent. I don't have as much of a nuance, I guess,
Yeah,
to the
because
language.
it's strange because in the UK there's so many dialects, and in Wales there's mainly two. You've either got Valley Welsh, which is like my accent, and sometimes it can get a little bit stronger, or you got the North Walian accent, which is more pronounced, more sort of English speaking, but they're all fluent in Welsh. There's us that sounds more Welsh, but half of us don't even speak Welsh. Yeah, it's a strange country, but
Yeah,
I
the
love
the
it.
woman who put on the Welsh accent, there was somebody who was actually Welsh on the season with her, and they're like, "Oh, do you speak Welsh?" And she was like, "Oh no, I live in London now. I lost all my Welsh." But she was like, "Oh my God, she's gonna expect me
She
to
got
speak
caught
Welsh to her."
out. Ugh. But no, I honestly, again, thank you ever so much for popping in. But yeah, I'll send you the link, and I
Yeah, for
appreciate
sure.
you promoting it. But I hopefully you never know. One day, if I end up playing with someone on American or Canadian servers, I might bump into you into the fog. You never know.
Well, be
I
sure to
just
say hi if you do.
I will.
Thanks. It was
I
great
certainly
meeting
will.
you. I had a good time. I appreciate you coming over in the channel and hanging out with me on some of the streams and that too. So I've seen you in the chat there. So appreciate it. It was a really good time.
Honestly, and I've had a whale of a time. It's just crazy seeing you years ago playing Telltale, The Walking Dead, to now being in a Discord call with myself. It's a strange feeling, but it's an amazing one. So thank you
All
ever so
right.
much.
If you want to do it again some other time, if something else comes up and you want to talk about a new, something new developing in DVD, I'd be happy to sit down with you guys again.
Amazing.
Oh, lovely.
Thank you ever so much.
All right.
Take it easy.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Bye bye.
But
Bye bye.
the Skill Issue podcast would like to thank Paulie Esther for coming on this episode. It's much appreciated. Thank you very much, Paulie. And if you haven't already, please check out Paulie Esther's Twitch and YouTube. All links will be in the description below. And until the next episode, I will say, toodles.